Just in, the British government fearing new tensions with the White House after reportedly hearing Prince Harry had perhaps invited former President Obama to his wedding, but did not extend an invitation to President Trump. The Prince and the Obamas bonded at the Invictus Games in Canada. When asked about the possible invitation during an interview he did with President Obama, Prince Harry dodged the question, saying he didn't know. So let's talk about all of this with Nile Gardiner, director of the Margaret Thatcher Center for Freedom at the Heritage Foundation. Would it be a huge breach of diplomatic protocol in Britain for the Prince to invite the former president to his wedding, but not the sitting president?
I think it would be very unusual, and certainly there are a number of reports in London indicating that government advisers have strongly suggested to the royal family that an invitation not be extended to Barack Obama. My sense is that I think the royal family will want to avoid any sort of political controversy over the royal wedding, which takes place on May 19th at Windsor Castle. And I would very much doubt, actually, that Barack Obama would, in fact, be invited. But there's a lot of speculation at the moment in the United Kingdom. And without a doubt, I think this is a sort of hot-button political issue at the moment with a potential for significant controversy.
Let me play just a little bit of an interview. This is kind of an unusual interview that the BBC did, because the interviewer is Prince Harry and his guest is Barack Obama. I want to play this for you.
You've sat through the inauguration with your game face on, not giving much emotion away, as we all saw. What's going through your mind?
The sense that there was a completion and that we had done the work in a way that preserved our integrity and left us whole, and that we hadn't fundamentally changed, I think was a satisfying feeling. Now, that was mixed with all the work that was still undone.
So he's telling the former president there that he had his game face on at the inauguration. Ultimately, this is kind of all up to the Queen, is it not? I mean, it may be Harry's wedding, but she's kind of the one who rules yes or no on the guest list.
Well, certainly the Queen has a big say in this. Ultimately, I think that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will be the deciders in terms of the final invitation list. But the British government, although it has a consultative role, does also have a strong say in this matter as well. And I think the British government will be very concerned about any political fallout from an invitation being extended to Barack Obama, but not to President Trump. It's also important to bear in mind, actually, that Barack Obama himself is a very controversial figure in the United Kingdom, not least because of his warnings against Brexit in advance of the UK referendum. He also warned the British people they would be at the back of the queue if they voted for Brexit. And so Barack Obama is known as a very anti-Brexit figure. And I think that is also going to loom large, actually, with regard to this overall debate. He also had a track record as US president of not exactly being the strongest friend for Great Britain. In fact, his administration sided with Argentina over the Falklands question, a very sensitive issue for the British people. And so President Obama's own track record when it comes to Great Britain isn't exactly particularly stellar. But
Theresa May, the sitting prime minister, she's had her own issues, I guess you would say, with President Trump.
Certainly, there have been, some disagreements between Theresa May and President Trump. But overall, I would say the special relationship is actually very, very strong. You do have a US administration at this time that is very pro-British, very pro-Brexit. And I think that overall, the relationship between Washington and London is very, very powerful at this time. And certainly the British government, I think, will be very keen to ensure that the US-UK special relationship continues to be extremely strong in the coming years. So certainly this is going to be a very interesting debate that's going to take place in the UK in the coming months. But my sense is that Barack Obama probably won't be going over to the royal wedding.
Nile Gardiner from the Heritage Foundation. Nile, good to have you on. Thanks.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.